Don't let mediocrity win, a phrase that's easy to say, but so difficult to truly live by. We're born with potential, a spark, a fire deep within us, but as we grow, life does its best to put that fire out. School, jobs, society, they all push us towards a comfortable, safe existence. We're told to settle for good enough to take the easy path, to accept mediocrity as our destiny. But what if, for a moment, we dared to challenge that? What if we decided mediocrity was the enemy, a thief robbing us of a life we could have had? Imagine waking up every day feeling like you're capable of so much more, like you're standing on the edge of something great. You look around and everything seems fine: job, friends, routine. It's all okay. But that's the problem. It's just okay. It's like walking through a fog, where nothing is sharp or clear. Mediocrity is that fog. It lulls you into complacency, whispers that it's safer to stay where you are. It's like wearing shackles you can't see but can feel with every step. You start to forget what it feels like to run, to chase, to pursue something with everything you've got. But here's the twist: life isn't some rehearsal. There are no retakes. And mediocrity? It's an expert at stealing time, your most valuable currency. You know that moment when you see someone rise, someone who refuses to stay in the shadows, and you think, why can't that be me? Well, it can be. But the price is discomfort. It's waking up earlier, pushing harder, and risking failure. It's understanding that mediocrity is easy because it doesn't demand anything from you. It lets you coast. But excellence that demands sacrifice, courage, and the willingness to look ridiculous for a while. Here's the funny part: mediocrity will let you keep your pride, but at the expense of your dreams. It's like a bad bargain deal. It'll say, hey, just settle for this, it's good enough, but when you look back, you'll realize you traded away every opportunity to be more than just good enough. Think about the stories you've heard of people breaking the chains of their own limitations. They were scared too. Fear is universal. It's not just your companion, it's everyone's. But some people decide to make fear their fuel. They refuse to be paralyzed by it. Instead, they use it to launch themselves higher. And you know what? Every time someone takes that leap, they leave behind that mediocrity and transform into something else, someone else. Someone who doesn't just exist but lives. Someone who creates waves and carves a path where there wasn't one. But it all starts with a choice to rise above the ordinary. Here's where it gets tricky. Mediocrity is seductive. It feels warm, cozy, like wrapping yourself in a familiar blanket. It'll tell you you've worked enough for today. Why push harder? Or you're doing better than most people. Isn't that enough? But ask yourself, is it? Is living a life of better than most your end goal? Or do you want to stand out? To be someone who creates something extraordinary? People often confuse comfort with happiness. They settle for the illusion of security, thinking they've won when really mediocrity has already beaten them. It's like being in quicksand: the more you stay put, the deeper you sink. Let's break that pattern, though, and disrupt the narrative. Mediocrity only wins if you give it permission to. It thrives on your indecision and your hesitations. But the moment you decide that you're going to fight for something greater, you start to break free. You step out of that comfort zone and into the unknown. Sure, it's terrifying. You might stumble, fall flat on your face, and look foolish. But remember, no one who ever achieved greatness did so without looking foolish at some point. It's part of the process. Picture it as the price you pay for liberation, freedom from mediocrity's chains. And isn't that worth it? Now, let's talk about urgency. Mediocrity will always try to convince you that you have time, that tomorrow is a better day to start. But that's the lie that keeps most people from ever moving forward. Every day you postpone, you allow mediocrity another victory. Imagine the years slipping by, one day blending into the next, all because you waited for the right moment. Here's a secret: the right moment doesn't exist. All you have is now, this very second. If you're not grabbing it, someone else is. So what's the move here? It's simple: really disrupt the pattern. When mediocrity says, take a break, you work harder. When it tells you, it's good enough, you ask yourself, but is it the best I can do? It's not about becoming obsessed or working yourself to the bone. It's about refusing to settle for anything less than what you know you're capable of. Because mediocrity, it doesn't announce its arrival. It sneaks in quietly, wrapping itself around your potential until you barely recognize it. And before you know it, you're living a life you didn't choose, a life of missed chances and forgotten dreams. But here's where the power lies. You hold the pen. Mediocrity may try to write your story, but you decide how it ends. You can choose to break free, to rise above, to become the person you've always known you could be. But it starts with rejecting the comfort of the ordinary and embracing the uncertainty of the extraordinary. The pain, the struggle, the hard work, it all leads somewhere. And that somewhere is where greatness lives. If you've made it this far, it's because you know deep down that mediocrity isn't your destiny. It's a distraction, a temptation to live a life of just enough, but you're capable of more. You're capable of reaching heights you've only dreamed of. And if you want that, you've got to make the decision to fight every single day, to push against the current, and to rise. And when you do, you'll see how everything shifts.